Before I discovered this and started implementing it in my life, I thought it was crazy. I thought it was bullshit. I was too smart for my own good. I thought I had a better grasp on life than I actually did. I used to not believe in energy and in frequencies and how powerful our mind truly is. I believe that affirmations or not, one plus one is two. And regardless of anything else, as long as I commit the actions that will lead to the success, then that was enough for me. And does that get you results? Yes. Not a whole lot matters outside of just doing the work. I agree with that. But for me personally, whenever I was working from a state of mind where I didn't feel connected to what I was doing, I felt like it was annoying, it was a drag, it was something that I didn't want to do, my results were lower than they normally would be. And whenever I shifted my mindset to be like, you know what? I'm grateful for this, I'm happy for this. And, let me backtrack. What led me to this point was that I used to not believe in God, right? I felt that there was no substantial evidence for God. I thought that God was an adult version of Santa Claus, simply here just to make you all behave so there's not anarchy in the streets. Now, all that started to change as I got older and just started being more aware of my surroundings. So in school, I mean, you're pretty shielded from life, right? This was all in high school when I didn't believe in God. And even shortly after when I graduated, but mainly in high school because it's like, hey, it's just science, all of this religion and spirituality and your soul and all this afterlife BS. Like that's what it was to me, right? And I never really thought much of it because we're not taught that, right? And my life at that point was school, smoking weed, video games, and homework when I actually did it, right? I barely passed high school. I copied a lot. And not because I wasn't smart. The classes that I enjoyed, like astronomy, where I applied myself, I had good grades. But other classes like English, where I had to write essays, I didn't perform as well. Math was always a good one for me. But anyways, I lost touch of my origin, right, through the indoctrination of the school system. Now, when I got out and I matured and other things started happening in my life that forced me to look at to look at the world through eyes, not only mine, but other people's eyes and looking from other people's perception, I started to really understand that the world, I mean, take this how you want it, but if no one's ever said it to you, it's going to be kind of shocking. The world is satanic. The world is full of Satan's and his practices inside of music, inside of movies, even inside of religion, because they put a veil over it and they say, hey, I'm holy, I'm about God, I'm about this and that. But behind closed doors, it's a different story. Modern science, modern medicine, right? I could go on and on and on, right? The psychological warfare is absolutely insane. And this is why we see things like Disney losing millions and millions of dollars because they're trying to push certain things in their movies that people just aren't resonating with, right? And so I could give you examples about all of these things. I don't want to dive into it too much in this video because I just realized after paying attention to the world that it was very, very satanic. And so, regardless of what you believe in, for me, I understood that there's people at the top that in their minds have hidden knowledge that they do not want to give to the public because if the public were to understand its true power, right? Its true power being that we can manifest everything. We can manifest anything we want into this world. And I don't just mean screaming affirmations in the mirror and all of a sudden you're going to have your dream life. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is that when God created the light that we now see, He said, let there be light, and there was, right? He spoke many things into existence as we can, right? I remember when I was in high school, I was really into paintball, and I really wanted this specific paintball gun. It was called an Invert Mini, right? And I would talk about this thing nonstop to my friends. I would watch YouTube videos on it. I would watch videos about unboxing. I would watch videos about maintenance. I would watch videos about, how to change the different settings. I would watch videos about how to set the gun up, all the equipment that I need, right? I was consumed by it. And even though it was watching a video and not necessarily me talking about it, think about it. When you're talking, right, it's simply the voice in your head coming out. Now, when you're watching a video, it's somebody else's voice in your head. So it's a very similar action. So I was consumed by this, and eventually I acquired it by saving up money little by little. I eventually got enough, the $300 or whatever it was, to buy this gun. And it was all I could think about, right? I brought that to life. It doesn't matter if it's a paintball gun or it's your dream life or dream relationship or a car or a vacation, right? That stuff really doesn't matter. What matters the most is that you focus on it, right? We've all heard that story about, the red car theory. How many red cars did you see today? And you can't really give us an answer, but if we said, focus on how many red cars you see tomorrow, and you actually applied yourself and looked out for red cars, then you would start to see a lot more of them, right? Before I bought the Tesla Model Y, right before I bought it, I would see it everywhere. I'd be driving on the freeway, I'd see them. I'd be at the movie theaters and I'd see one parked. I'd be, I remember specifically the lunch I had, right before I bought it, where I was configuring it on the website. And by no means am I promoting Tesla. I think there's certain aspects of the vehicle that I don't like, but nobody's perfect. So I'll leave it at that. But at that lunch, parked across the street from the restaurant that I was at, was the very same model that I ended up getting, the same specs as well. It was the performance package. It wasn't the long range, right? I noticed because of the calipers and because of the red line under the badging and stuff like that. So I brought that into life because I would constantly think about it and talk about it. So we have God-like abilities. And so if the public, if the masses understood this, then the people at the top would start to lose control. Their grip wouldn't be so strong because we as a people would understand our true power. And so I started to realize that there's these people at the top that they think they have this hidden knowledge that they keep from the public. And what do they do with this hidden knowledge? Now, just because it's not common knowledge, I wouldn't necessarily call it hidden knowledge, but that's kind of the way they like to think about it from what I've heard and from what I've understood. They try to be real secretive, right? And we've all seen how secretive they try to be, whether they're going to certain locations, certain islands, and they're trying to do certain things without, a lot of people knowing about it. I'm going to move this light over just a sec. All right. I like it better there. So they're trying to be very secretive about what they do. And so, okay, what do they do with this information? Well, it's a bunch of satanic crap, right? So it just got me thinking like, man, if they have this hidden knowledge, and granted, I don't know everything, but what they're doing with this information is being satanic for, riches and fame and power on this blip in time, which is this reality that we're currently existing in, then there must be a God, right? If you go into ChatGPT and you ask it to make fun of Jesus Christ, it will gladly do it. It'll give you some stupid joke about Jesus Christ, right? But if you ask it to make a joke about any other religious figure or prophet, it won't do it. It'll say, hey, we try to remain unbiased and we should be, aware of everybody's feelings and emotions, blah, 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 right? Same thing. Ask it to ridicule Trump, it'll gladly do so. Ask it to ridicule Joe Biden, it won't, right? There's certain informations and certain agendas that people are pushing on you, regardless if you like it or not, regardless if you believe in it or not, right? You don't have to believe in certain things. You don't have to believe in drowning, right? But if you stay underwater long enough, you will drown. It doesn't matter what you believe. The truth is what matters. And listen, I have no problem with being wrong. If later on I realize years from now I was wrong about some things, I'll gladly admit it. It's called being human. It's called making a mistake. I have no issue with that. The only beliefs that people don't question are the ones they truly believe. And so when I started to discover all of these things, and I didn't go searching for them, they came to me. I started to realize, like, man, if there's this much satanic crap going on in the world, then God must be real. And it rekindled the fire. It rekindled that origin that I had with God, with my creator. I got baptized and things started to change for me, right? I started realizing the more positive outlook that I had on the world, the better things were for me, right? It's the simple difference between, failing and thinking, oh man, this is hard, this isn't for me, versus, hey, you know what? That's amazing. I failed, which is great, because that's one step closer to a successful action that I'm seeking, right? Shifting that mindset, shifting that way of thinking is what's going to change your life little by little. It doesn't matter what aspect of life you're trying to change. You must shift your thinking. So it all begins with faith. That's just me, okay? Faith not only with your creator, for me personally, but also faith in yourself, faith in your ability. Most people these days are so broken. They're broken. They have no belief in themselves. And that's why they rather just conform to what everybody else is telling them to do, because they have no self-confidence in themselves. And part of the reason, there's two big reasons. The first one, which I don't think is the main factor, is because you're ridiculed today if you are self-confident until you achieve whatever you are confident about. So when, Michael Jordan was calling himself the greatest before he had proved himself, he was ridiculed. Muhammad Ali, and I could go on and on and on. Most people, when they're calling themselves great, when they're calling themselves unstoppable, when they say that out in public, I'm going to be the next best thing, people shit on them. People talk crap about them. There was an interview that I saw, Ed Milet. I was at a speaking event where I was watching Ed speak, and he played this video about Tiger Woods, I think in his rookie season. It might have been, I don't know much about golf. It might have been like the first PGA Tour tournament that he was playing in. And a veteran golfer who I believe was retired and, pretty prestigious, had asked him like, hey, what does a successful weekend look like to you? And Tiger said, well, I'd like to win. And that veteran golfer, which was like one of his heroes, shit on him and was like, really? A win? Like, be realistic. What does that say to all the other golfers out here? And Tiger's just like, look, man, I don't feel like I should be competing if the goal isn't to win. And he shit on him. So, oh yeah, you'll learn. And Tiger was just a kid. And yeah, everybody did learn. One of the greatest golfers that the world has ever seen. So people are going to shit on you when you're self-confident, but you can't let that stop you, because if you do not vocalize your confidence, it's really hard to do these things if you don't believe in yourself. And part of building that belief is constantly drilling it into your head that you're the best, that you're unstoppable, that you will stop at nothing to achieve your goals. You have to think this way, and you have to vocalize it. You have to. And fuck society, because the things that they do, the things that they say affect you in the least way possible. You need to act for yourself. You need to put yourself in front of others if you want to succeed in this world. When the plane is going down and the mask drop, they say, put your mask on first before trying to help anybody else. Well, if you want to do that, it's going to take some confidence, because this world is filled with people who are going to try to pull you down. It's filled with people who are going to tell you no. You're going to face a lot of rejection, a lot of failures, and you need that ultimate, unshakable, unwavering confidence if you want to succeed, regardless of what you're trying to do. So, the number one reason why I feel that most people struggle with self-confidence is because of the fact that they break the promises that they make to themselves. I'm not even talking about holding their word with other people. I'm talking about holding your word to yourself. You and I have both done things where we say, oh, I'm not going to miss any more gym days. I'm not going to eat any more fast food. I'm going to eat clean. I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to dedicate myself to doing this. I'm going to wake up early, whatever it is. And we break those promises. So now, even though our conscious mind may tell us, hey, yeah, you know what? You're great and you're awesome and you're going to do this, our subconscious mind doesn't believe it. Our soul, our passion can't get behind our own selves because we've broken so many promises to ourselves. If every night you tell yourself, I'm going to wake up early, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m, and every single day for years on end, you never do it. And years later, here comes nighttime and you're telling yourself, I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. And your conscious mind may believe it, like, yeah, okay, this time for sure, I'm going to do it. Cool. Okay, let me go to bed. Your subconscious won't do it. You get to a point where you don't need an alarm. You just wake up at the time. Your body is magical. It knows. There's times where I have something really important to do that I have to wake up super early. My phone dies in the middle of the night because I failed to charge it, or I didn't set my alarm, or whatever. For whatever reason, my alarm doesn't go off, but my body instinctually wakes up a minute before the clock strikes that time. It's absolutely insane, but because my body was programmed, even if I only had 2 hours of sleep before, when something is important enough to you, you will get up, right? A perfect example is every other school day, you probably struggled to get out of bed. But the days that you knew that you had a field trip to this cool place that you were excited about, you were up early, you were dressed, nobody had to drag you out of bed, and you were ready to go because you were happy that you were going to experience something different, something new, something exciting than the normal status quo BS that you were used to. And that's how you have to look at your life every single day when you're waking up. This is a new opportunity. Something new is going to happen. God, the universe is going to bring opportunities to me. It's going to bring deals to me. It's going to bring wealth towards me, happiness. It's going to bring me a new relationship. Something in today is going to happen that's very special, that's going to get me closer to my goals. And even if that's the mundane, even if that's the boring work, the stuff where I got to send 5 emails, I got to do my follow-up, I got to, call these contractors, I got to, get my social media right and post on my website, on my blog, I got to optimize my funnels, whatever. That should also be seen as something new and exciting, even when it's not. Because those are the little things that add up to the big wins. It is very, very rare where people become millionaires or billionaires overnight or on their first try or on their first business. That almost never happens. It usually happens over years, over a decade, over multiple decades of hard work, dedication, and persistence that they elevate themselves to see success. So, how do you correct this issue of lacking self-confidence? Well, it starts by holding your word to yourself. You got to hold your word to yourself first if you ever want to be able to hold it with anybody else. So if you tell yourself you're going to wake up at 5 a.m., wake up at 5 a.m. If you tell yourself you're going to eat that meal prep and not go to fucking McDonald's, eat the meal prep. Little by little, when you start to stack these wins, your subconscious mind begins to get programmed like, I keep my word. I keep my word. Year after year, after day, your mind starts to understand that you do not go back on your word. So if you say something, it's gonna get done. And then once you've built up that confidence from stacking these little wins little by little, guess what? Now when you tell yourself, I'm going to make $1 million this year. I don't know how, I don't care what it takes, but I'm going to fucking do it. Your mind believes it. And now your mind starts to look for the opportunities. It starts to actually, be available to win. Because you can have the $1 million opportunity hit you right now, and you can't even recognize it. You don't even understand that it's an opportunity for you because you're not even expecting it. You're not even in the right frame of mind to accept that gift. So you have to begin to reprogram your mind by stacking little wins, little by little. So another thing, you don't have to always learn from your own mistakes. You can learn from other people's mistakes. There's books on whatever you want to do. I guarantee you, whether you want to learn coding, whether you want to learn how to cook, whether you want to learn how to play guitar, whether you want to learn how to grow your social media, how to get in shape, how to make more money, there's books on all of this stuff from actually credible sources if you know where to look for $20. But most people won't invest. I've invested, at this point, easily $50,000 in books, in courses, and all this other stuff. And constantly, I bought a course yesterday. I'm constantly doing it. I'm constantly reinvesting in myself because I know that I still have room to grow. And that's what led to the growth in the first place. My life changed August 27th, 2017, when I bought a course on how to do digital marketing. Everything shifted for me. I was like, whoa, I don't have to go to college. I could, start my career now. I don't have to wait. I don't have to go be lectured for years on end and never really learn anything. If you want to learn how to build a house, and I say, hey, Billy, sit there and for 5 years or 10 years, depending on your degree, I'm just going to lecture you on how to build a house. At the end of those years, you know how many people would know how to build a fucking house and could actually perform and do it? Maybe one, maybe two out of thousands. But if I said, hey, Billy, hey, Samantha, here's a hammer, here's some nails, follow me around, I'm going to show you how I build this house. Pay attention to what I do. Look, you're going to put the nail here, make sure that the wood is this way, make sure that the wood is sealed so it doesn't start to warp and bend later. Now we're going to nail it. We're going to use this technique. And now, okay, you watched me do it 3 times. Now you try. That's day one. And now you're having hands-on training. Who's going to be better equipped for the real world? Who's going to be better equipped after years and years of mentoring, of coaching, of learning? The person that's been implementing or the person that's been getting lectured? You and I both know the fucking answer. So you have to, it was like logical for me. I was like, why am I going to go and do that? And then I was taking some bullshit history class, which I like history, but the class and the instructor, it was bullshit. And I was like, what am I doing here? I'm wasting my life. I'm wasting my potential, my most ripe years, where I have the most energy, where I have the most physical capability. I'm wasting them. That was just my opinion, and that's why I took the actions that I took. I dropped out of college, like I mentioned in episode 1. So look, you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. A lot of people right now do not have a lot of responsibilities, right? Especially if you're like under the age of 30, especially like 25 or under. Most of you, not all of you, most of you have no kids. You don't have responsibilities. You don't have your own house yet. You're probably in school, living with your parents and working some job. You're not going to go fucking broke. You're not, or you could go broke, but you're going to have a roof over your head, right? You're going to have food in your stomach. For those of you that live on your own, maybe you have kids, you have a mortgage, you have certain responsibilities. You can't just, not show up to your job. You need money to survive. It's a little bit tougher for you, but that's not a fucking excuse. Because I could make every excuse in the book, but I don't. I have a lot of responsibilities. I have things that I have to pay. It's not an option. So you have everything to gain and nothing to lose in most cases, right? And even if you have all of the responsibilities in the world, but you feel like you're trapped by your income, instead of thinking, oh, I can't afford to do that, shift your mindset. I can't afford not to do that. Because what's the alternative? Staying the same? Living the same life on repeat that I've been living this entire time that I'm miserable with? Like I said, you got to be willing to suck first. You got to be willing to go through the trials and tribulations. You got to be willing to do things even when it's not fun, even when you're not good at it. Learn from other people's mistakes. Start researching different opportunities, right? And listen, there's a big variation of opportunities. You need to learn which ones are the easiest for you when you're a beginner with not much skills, right? If you're going to go out and try to start a marketing agency, but you have no skills, you're most likely going to fail. If you go out there and try to start a drop shipping business with no experience or skills, you're probably going to fail. You could do something easier like affiliate marketing, or start just learning one skill. Take your time and start learning one skill that you can help other people with and gain money that way, right? That's what I did. I learned Facebook ads. That's all I knew in the beginning. And I started helping businesses do that because that's what I knew. I knew it better than them. I didn't have to be the expert. I didn't have to be the greatest person in the world to do it. I just had to be a little bit more advanced than them. And they would pay me $1,000 to the highest I ever got paid was about $3,000 a month to do that. So it's not a lot of money, but for some people, $1,000 extra a month for a little bit of work, they take it, right? Especially if you could start to stack the clients up. So listen, the reason why I say that faith is necessity is because when you understand that if you're with God and God is with you, no one can stand in front of you, nothing can be against you, then you're not going to have these limitations, these limiting beliefs, these limiting thoughts on yourself, because you're like, no, man, I'm literally a descendant of God. I was made in the image of God. I have God-like abilities. I could speak things into existence. I could do things as he does to a certain degree. And if he's with me, which he is, he's not going to come to you. You got to come to him. But when you come to him, he'll accept you with open arms. And then at that point, the sky's the limit. No one can stand in front of you. So listen, you need to have faith above, because you need something that's bigger than you and I, and you need to have faith in yourself. You need to have faith in yourself. And the way you build your self-confidence is by keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Whatever that is, keep your word. Keep your word to yourself. And then once you begin to master that, you can start keeping your word to other people. And if you can keep your word to other people, and you're going out there and you're doing big shit and you're doing big claims like you should with your confidence, then nothing can stop you. So again, if God is with you, who can stand in front of you?